It is 9:14 right now. As we get older, our brains can begin a slow, steady decline. But the experts say if you start treating your brain right now, you can reduce your chances of memory loss. And these are some simple steps that you can actually do today. This morning we are joined by Dr. Brendan Kelly, a neurologist at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, with some ways, 6 ways to boost your brain power. So good morning and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, can you tell us what causes memory loss?
Well, some of it, there are some cognitive changes that just happen as part of normal aging, although significant amounts of forgetfulness, like short-term memory loss, we wouldn't consider those as part of normal aging, and those could be a sign of something more serious like early symptoms of Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, now you have some 6 steps that we can do, to help us with our memory. Let's go ahead and start, with the first step.
Sure. So there's been a tremendous amount of research looking at different things, different lifestyle habits that we can develop or that we can encourage that will reduce our risk of experiencing significant amounts of memory decline as we get older. One of the most important ones is remaining mentally active or remaining intellectually active. And so oftentimes we'll think of that in terms of having to solve crossword puzzles or doing other things. And while that can be an instance of somebody being mentally active, other things like solving other types of puzzles or daily activities like gardening or knitting, those things count as intellectual activity too, and they've been shown to be just as beneficial.
Right, I know you brought some puzzles here, and these kind of things, they're also kind of fun too.
Exactly, and that's one of the keys to it, is trying to find activities that are both enjoyable as well as that are stimulating your mind. I brought a puzzle here that's a little bit unusual rather than what we would ordinarily think of as like a crossword puzzle, and I brought some things to remind us of gardening, mostly because these challenge our brain with new or novel situations or unexpected things come up, and the brain reacts differently to being challenged in ways that are novel versus doing the same thing over and over again day after day.
I see. Okay, what else can we do to help boost our brain power?
Physical activity.
All right.
Physical exercise remains important throughout the lifespan. It's just as important after age 65 as it is when we're younger. By physical activity, as doctors, we try to be pretty reasonable, and one of the best studied activities is just simply walking. And we set a goal of trying to be engaged in physical activity 3 or more times per week for a 30-minute episode of exercise. And we know that being physically active as we get older reduces our risk of developing cognitive decline, and it actually reduces our risk of developing Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, next step?
Smoking.
Or not smoking.
I say, there simply is nothing to say other than quit smoking if you are a smoker, and if you never started, congratulations, that was a very wise decision.
All right, number 4 on your list?
Diet. One of the best studied diets, both in terms of our heart health as well as our brain health, is what would be termed a Mediterranean style diet. So a diet that includes lots of whole grains, fruits and vegetables, smaller amounts of animal proteins, oftentimes as fish or as poultry. And then, at the very kind of top of the dietary pyramid would be things like refined sugars or, very fatty foods. It's not that one shouldn't consume those at all, but they certainly should not constitute a large portion of the caloric intake. Another, particularly in the United States, another often unsuspected contributor to those refined sugars are sodas, and so kind of trying to at least be mindful to reduce our intake of those things is important.
All right, number 5?
Number 5 would be, we have a pair of headphones here to remind us to talk about music or being socially connected, being involved with those social connections that have held us in good stead throughout our lives. There was a study that showed that the simple act of singing in a choir regularly reduced a person's risk of developing Alzheimer's disease.
Well, and I also see that you brought some chocolate here.
Well, I brought some chocolate because, these are all good, healthy lifestyle recommendations, but we should have some fun as well. And there are some studies that would suggest that, some of the what we would call micronutrients, like the flavonoids and other things in cocoa, which is to say chocolate, that may help some with reducing the risk of cognitive decline. In sort of a fun study, there were some researchers that looked, and they found that if you look at countries around the world, those countries that have the greatest consumption of chocolate have the greatest number of Nobel laureates.
So I think I'm going to do this and just eat more chocolates. All I have to say is, hey, the doctor said do it.
There's also an ongoing study, part of the Women's Health Initiative, that's looking to see whether chocolate may help to maintain muscle mass as women get older. So another good reason to consider having chocolate once in a while.